The live arts and events industry facing new closures, postponements, and cancellations as Omicron cases soar. The industry was one of the first to go dark in 2020, and it's still struggling to stay open. A government program has given out nearly $14 billion in grants to venues, but many in the industry say the program is riddled with inconsistencies and didn't help enough. Kate Rogers reports in a CNBC investigation, Shuttered Dreams.
Here's our timeline.
When Amanda Kennedy first heard about the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant Program, she thought it might provide a much-needed salvation for her community theater.
You know, something that we desperately needed.
Kennedy is treasurer of the Studio Theater in Little Rock, Arkansas. The nonprofit closed its doors like so many at the onset of the pandemic.
We got our application in and we're very confident.
For more than 3 months, she heard nothing. Then came a denial.
I didn't see that coming at all. We practically had the funds expended in our minds and our budgets because it was pretty much a sure thing that it was coming.
The SBA told Kennedy the theater was denied because it doesn't pay its performers. But as a nonprofit, according to SBA guidelines, that shouldn't have made the theater ineligible. Yet the Argenta Community Theater, 5 minutes away in North Little Rock, received nearly $150,000 in grants. And the Royal Players, 30 minutes away in Benton, Arkansas, got more than $116,000. Both are nearly identical in business models, according to Kennedy. Mike Savis runs Superfan Live, a concert and events promotion business, selling VIP experiences to fans for world-famous artists like Journey and Metallica. We met him in Philadelphia, where he was working on a Genesis tour. His application was denied for more than $500,000 in aid. A subsequent appeal and comprehensive review upheld that decision.
How did you feel when you got the first denial?
That was probably the most crushing moment of the SVOG process because I really thought I was gonna get it. And again, I had made some, not empty promises, but I had made some hopeful promises to staff and vendors.
On Facebook, the group SVOG Declines has nearly 400 members whose applications were denied. The chief complaint from many is a lack of understanding of why they were denied in the first place.
Truth be told, I was this close to bankruptcy. I had about 5 days of runway left before I was going to really reconsider whether or not I pay bills, pay staff, or tell the artists I don't have the money to pay them.
While some applicants believe their denials were incorrect, thousands of entities have benefited from the program, which has approved more than $13 billion in aid so far. Recipients include many famed Broadway shows and their tours, like Hamilton, accessing millions of dollars in grants.
The SBA said more than 5,000 applicants were invited to appeal and approximately 3,000 accepted. In addition, some 2,000 recipients were invited to have their funding awards reconsidered and some 800 grantees accepted. The SBA did not specify how many businesses had their decisions overturned.
I made the decision to open up an appeals process as well as include reconsideration of awarded amounts so that everyone could have their fair shot at these funds.
SBA Administrator Isabel Guzman sat down with us during an event in New York City promoting the program's success.
Two applicants might look exactly the same, but there are complex eligibility criteria, and so from externally it might look like they're the same type of applicant, but they may not turn out to be. And it could be things like, for example, a museum. One has actual fixed seating, which is a requirement, and the other one doesn't.
Meanwhile, those behind the scenes who have been advocating for broader aid beyond SVOG are still hopeful Congress will come through.
We did our job to protect people and keep people safe, and now they're not helping us.
The Live Events Coalition formed in April 2020, representing more than 1 million small businesses with 12 million employees, worth $872 billion in economic impact. Some 92% of its small business members, who represent trade shows, corporate events, weddings, local county fairs, and more, were left out of relief.
And it's really hard to watch all of my colleagues go through this. These are people's livelihoods that they've worked on for decades. And no one is listening.
A source familiar with the federal grant process told CNBC that while grant applications are reviewed by individuals adhering to a standardized criteria, individual application reviewers may utilize varying thresholds or differing data interpretations throughout application screening, programmatic or financial review processes. Each could impact the grant award phase which in turn could lead to mistaken denials. Now, the agency is facing more than 24 lawsuits from businesses who were denied but believed they were eligible, according to Mayer Law Firm, which is representing many of the plaintiffs. The agency said it cannot comment on pending litigation.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.